Hey everyone, it's Paddy here. Before we get into this episode, I just want to give a quick content note. In this conversation, Elsa and I talk openly about mental health, including her experiences with BPD and bipolar. We also briefly reference self-harm and suicide. Please take care while listening and step away if you need to. If anything we talk about brings up difficult feelings for you, please reach out for support. You don't have to go through it alone. In the UK, you can contact Samaritans on 116 123 24/7 or text SHOUT to 85258. You can also find support at mind.org.uk. If you're listening from outside the UK, visit findahelpline.com to find local support in your country. Remember, reaching out for help is a sign of strength, not a weakness.
Hello everybody and welcome to the first proper episode of Now We're Really Talking, a podcast where we dive really deep into mental health challenges and the journeys that accompany them. And today I am incredibly excited to be talking to one of my favourite people, somebody who I wouldn't actually be doing any of this without, my first friend in mental health campaigning and the first person I really knew, and I'd say the most honest person on Instagram around their mental health and all around inspiration. So it's Elsa Arnold. How are you?
I am very well, thanks, Paddy. I've got my hot chocolate. I am in my little purpley pink booth and I am doing great.
Have you had a good day?
I've had a good Monday. Yeah. Do you know what? Mondays are my favourite day of the week. That's unpopular opinion, but I think Mondays are great.
Better than a Sunday, better than a Saturday.
Well, okay, excluding like the days off. I think Mondays are like fresh start to the week, happy days, woo, fresh energy.
I'm glad you think that. But
someone's got to like a Monday.
Yeah, I mean they are like
How
the
are
end of the
you?
week, aren't they? I'm all right, thank you. I've been working my very boring job today, so I'm excited to do something much more exciting and talking to you. But you have recently got a new job.
Yes, I've just started a new job. Yes, so I am working at My Life, My Say at the minute, which is an incredible charity. Actually, we're both involved with in some way, which is really nice. But yeah, I've just started at My Life, My Say as engagement coordinator for a kind of busy few months of their like conferences and huge events and things. We've got Next Gen coming up in a few weeks, which is a huge event for us. And yeah, really like at the heart of helping create that, which is really exciting. I am so happy with this team and yeah, it's very exciting time.
It's so cool. And yeah, I'm so pleased. I saw you, you messaged me and said, then seeing you pop up on the chat, It was pretty wild, like pretty surreal experience, but I can't think of a better person for it. And I guess I want to start by talking, I know I said earlier, this is a podcast about mental health and less about campaigning, but I can't ignore something you've done recently, and it's just wild. I've seen you've done an event attended by Prince Harry, and I was doing research for this, and I googled your name, and all of them were about articles about you talking to royalty. Just explain, how did that come about, and how actually was it talking to him?
Yeah, so that event, it was only a few weeks ago, actually, so not long ago at all. That event was with a charity called the Diana Award, who I've been involved with for ages. They are a legacy charity to Princess Diana and continue her belief that young people have the power to change the world. So they have lots of different programs. And I first got involved with them when I was like 14, 15 in their anti-bullying program. So like you... Like when we met, you were just starting your like kind of campaigning journey. I started my activism journey with them, which was so special. And I'm 23 now and I'm still there. They haven't gotten rid of me, even though they probably are like, when's she going? So I've just finished 3 years as a young advisor with them. And yeah, this event was about supporting how being engaged in social action work can support young people's mental health, which is actually perfect for this kind of conversation as well. So it was really about like how the campaigning work I've done and the advocacy work I've done has supported my own mental health and impacted my own journey. And also we like how like corporates and companies can use their platform to partner with charities like the Diana Award to help make a bigger impact. Anyway, to your question about Prince Harry, we were marking 10 years since he kind of launched his mental health work. And yeah, he came to the event, which was great. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know how to kind of describe it now. I'm talking about it. It was really great, though. I mean, like, so there was a panel of us. There were 4 of us on the panel, and actually Dan from My Life My Say chaired the panel, and then there were 3 of us. And Harry, my mate Harry, Prince Harry, was sitting in front of us in that row. And actually, like, it was so nice to engage with him about something like that, because obviously the charity, like the Diana Award, is so close to his heart, a really important charity to him, but he's also really passionate about mental health. So it was really nice to talk to him. Like, he spoke to us all individually after as well about like why what we're doing is important, and was really receptive, asked us all a question about how the Diana Award has, you know, why they're important, why charities like that are important. And yeah, it was really cool. That was probably like a huge over explanation, but yeah, it was really cool. It was just really nice to, you know, when you like aren't really sure what the interaction is going to be like with someone that's in the public eye, and you're like,
yeah,
this could go one of 2 ways. But actually, like, he was super receptive and lovely to speak to. Made me feel very, very hopeful.
Wow, it's incredible. And if you could go back to 14-year-old Elsa, who was only just getting into kind of campaigning, if you could tell her then that you'd end up speaking to, well, at the time he was like one of the major royals, I think it's just wild. So you got into the Diana Award at 14 or 14, 15. What was the motivation behind that? Was there a particular point where you decided that you wanted to use experience, or was it something at school?
Yeah, such a good question. Let me throw myself back to 14-year-old me. I was always a very like driven person from quite a young age. Like, I always wanted to be involved with helping, being on like school councils, doing all that jazz. I was that student. I was that kid. And I have no shame saying that. But yes, I always had that kind of like want to help. And unfortunately, I experienced bullying in primary school. And when I joined secondary, I kind of realised that, and I was able to like acknowledge what I'd experienced primary school and the impact it was having on me. And an opportunity came up when I was in year 7 to become an anti-bullying mentor with a charity. Not the Diana Award, they were called Beat Bullying. They don't exist anymore, but they were really cool. So I did training, became a mentor with them, and it kind of spiraled from there. Like, unfortunately, I still spent quite a lot of secondary experiencing bullying, but it kind of drove me even more. Like, I was so like, I don't want anyone else to experience what I'm experiencing or what I experienced. And that's sort of been the drive for me ever since, which I think is sort of the drive for lots of us in this space. We don't want people to go through what we've gone through. But yeah, it was having that first opportunity to train as an anti-bullying mentor, and yeah, it spiraled from there, and now we're here.
Yeah, I think that is incredible. And I think you're so right. It's kind of everybody you speak to who's kind of using their experience, whatever kind of whatever they're campaigning for, it often comes from not wanting other people to go through what they went through, and not wanting or kind of for your youngsters. I know for me, it's part of it is to help other people, but part of it is to kind of get those years back where I was struggling and to be able to look back with pride rather than a lot of the emotions that come with it. So I think it's really interesting you say that, and you say that it's kind of led you here. Like, do you think the bullying at primary and secondary school has had like a foundational impact on who you've become? Do you think you'd be a different person without it? Not that it's a positive thing, but in general.
Yeah. No, it's such a good question. And actually, I think there are two sides to it, because like ultimately the answer is yes. But there's definitely two sides in terms of the kind of positive and negative, if you like, effects of it. Because I'd be a completely different person if I hadn't experienced it. As like, it's such a, like, I feel like that's the same for all of us. Like, all of our life experiences inform who we are, who we become, what we experience. But that doesn't mean that we like wanted it to happen. I still, if I could, part of me is still like, if I could change that, if I could have, stood up for myself sooner and not experienced bullying for so long, then I'd absolutely choose that, because there are a lot of negative impacts that it still has on me today. But at the same time, I would be literally a completely different person, because I wouldn't have done all the stuff that I've done. I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation now. I wouldn't have probably met you. Like, everything that happens has a little knock-on effect on the next thing. So it's such a difficult, like, do I wish it had happened? Do I wish it hadn't happened? I don't know. But like, I suppose ultimately it did. So it's definitely had a very significant impact and continues to have a very significant impact on my life. Like every day.
I think it is really interesting, because I know for me, and I know for a lot of people, it kind of in the space that we're in, it's kind of like, I wouldn't wish to have OCD and you wouldn't have wished to go through what you went through, but without that, I think, what would I be doing on a Monday afternoon?
Yeah.
Like, I think I would be a completely different person. And half the time I really want to get rid of everything that I've been through, but it has made me who I am. And and I was talking to somebody about kind of the hero's journey. Do you know much about the hero's journey?
Yeah.
And it's only through those experiences that I've been able to come out the other side, and be the person I am today. And I think that's kind of similar to what you're saying. And I wonder, so after that, you have E11 kindness.
Yes.
Yeah. And
good research.
Yes. And you've kind of spoken a lot about kind of kindness and empathy. I think that comes from those experiences and wanting to help other people kind of feel good about themselves and not have to feel the way you felt.
Definitely. And so I started, spreading kindness through E11 was an initiative I started, E11 being the postcode. So I'm from East London. And I started that initiative when I was like 15 with the help of some gorgeous local people and businesses at a time that was so hard for me. Like, it was so hard, and I was like in and out of really like deep depressive episodes. And then in the small moments that I kind of felt a bit more functional, I started this initiative and kind of put so much energy into it, because, like you say, I really wanted to strip back everything to something like, I don't want to say as simple as like kindness, and focusing on kindness and empathy. And kindness is one of those things that is one of those words I feel like we go, oh, kindness, yeah, we'll be kind. Like, obviously, be kind. We all need to be kind. Kindness is nice. And it can seem a bit like a bit of a like wishy-washy type word, but actually, like, that is what so many things boil down to, is just kindness, and the impact that showing kindness and showing empathy and giving space and understanding other people can have is so huge. And I think that's what I really wanted at that time as well. And I thought, if I could create something that would help other people, maybe it would also help myself, and other people would like show me that, I don't know, give me their time to like explain myself and understand me, which I never felt. I never felt like anyone tried to fully understand me.
How do you physically do that? How do you manage to build something with so much positivity when you yourself is feeling so negative?
That's such a good question. I don't know. And I know that's a weird answer because I did it.
Yeah.
And I kind of, to some extent, still do it. Like everything that I've like worked really hard to create, I've done through so much pain and like just so many challenges. But it's such a good question because especially at that time, like I really was just so all over the place. And I think, I don't know. I think the thing is, like, I've always had really like quite a bouncy energy mood type vibe. So like I could be like right on the floor and then right up like in the sky the next minute. And I think I really grabbed those moments that felt like I could breathe for a second, and that I was really like energetic and bubbly. I just grabbed them with both hands, and like even if it was half an hour long, I'd be like, right, what can I do in this half an hour that I really want to do? Yeah, but it's a really good question. Actually, I kind of, now you ask it, I want to think about more because yeah, it's an interesting one, and I don't know. I just did it somehow.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal though, and I think maybe like you're right in the fact that because you had those periods where you weren't feeling as low, you could kind of capitalize on them and really wanted to capitalize on them, and because you had, it's hard now to look back at times where I felt really low and know exactly how I felt, but because you were going through those periods, you could reflect on them kind of very accurately because of what you were, because it was like interspersed with all the positive work you were doing.
Yeah. Do you know what I will say on that though as well is like it was so difficult because like on this point it was so difficult because I have always been very driven and very like I am, like, you know me, Paddy, like I am actually quite an energetic like woo person. Which is which I love. And obviously like because I was very, I don't know if productive is the right word. That's not really the right word, but you know, I got on with things, I did things, and I had the motivation to get things done. I found it really difficult to be like taken seriously by like mental health professionals or health professionals or even my school, because like I'd be trying to like explain or communicate that like I am really struggling, but at the same time I had all this like want to be involved with things and help and everything, and both existed at the same time. And at the time I in my head like both couldn't exist at the same time. So it was like that I kind of was convinced that there couldn't be anything wrong with me because I was, you know, going to school every day and I was engaging and I was motivated to do things most of the time. But so like it was a real struggle experiencing both the really, really low lows, not being able to get out of bed, not engaging with anything lows, and then bouncing from that straight up to like, right, I'm ready, let's go, let's do it, really productive. And then I just was like, how do I communicate what's going on here? Because either I'm making up my bubbliness or I'm making up my like sadness. But then I was like, but I'm not making up either. Both are true. Like both are existing at the same time. And obviously more recently, I have learned more about myself and discovered kind of why that is. But yeah, it was tricky.
Yeah, it does sound tricky. And I think because there's this kind of idea that when teenagers are talking about mental health and a lot of teachers and a lot of people can put it down to attention seeking and it's that kind of idea that you can't be that person one day and a different person the other day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so hard
Yeah.
when you are that person, and it makes you second guess yourself
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah. Do you know what? Sorry, can I add one quick thing? I've never really like spoken about. Well, I've never really spoken about this publicly, but with you, I'm
Oh, for me,
absolutely
I'm honoured.
for you, with you. Uh, no. So just on that, I was told. So when I first did. Actually, no, not my first thing. My second ever assessment that I did privately, for my mental health, I was like explicitly told by the person doing my assessment that I couldn't feel one way one day and then a different way the next day. And it came about because the assessment was broken up between like 2 weeks. So it was like Monday one week and then Monday the next week. And she asked me to keep a mood diary over that week. So I did. And there was like a sudden in the week, and actually, really weirdly, coincidentally, it was the week that I first met the Diana Award. But anyway, there was like a sudden, I was literally on the ground, like, I am not functioning. I give up. My life is over. Like, I'm done. And then like the next day, I didn't feel as hopeless. It was like, it was a very dramatic shift. But that was like how I genuinely felt. And so I wrote it on the diary card. I took the diary card back to her for the second part of the assessment. And she was like, right, well, you like, that's not possible. You can't feel that and then that. So she was like, so let's just focus on one and forget about the other one, because that's just ridiculous. And I was like, how old was I? Like, I must have been like 15. And I was like, so I can't even describe how I felt. It's that moment, like even now, like that moment lives with me constantly. Like I remember that moment like it was yesterday, and it made me like stop talking completely about how I actually was experiencing my mental health, because for years after that I was like still experiencing this like bounce between everything and like feeling really distressed by this like roller coaster that I was on. But I was like, well, she says that that's not a thing, so I must be making this up. And then I'd just be like so stressed about it. Anyway, for context for listeners, since so last year.
Oh, shall I? I'll have questions about this, but we
Oh,
can.
you got okay, right?
No,
okay, I won't. Okay, I'll let you carry on.
You're talking about this and not understanding how you felt. Can you tell us what happened last year, please?
Good question.
Thank you. I've got my research. I've done my research.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Don't want to ruin your research. Assuming we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, February
loads
last
of
year.
things happened last year. Yes. So this is like about diagnoses and things. Yeah. So last year, God, this was a whole process. But the short version of it is that I was diagnosed with, story is I was first diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Bipolar type 2 was my diagnosis.
Can you just explain type 2?
Yes, so I
you.
can to the best of my ability. So type 1, you experience more episodes of like mania, and you, kind of that you have a lot more severe experiences of like the really high side of bipolar. And type 2, you don't really reach mania. You have like hypomanic episodes, but you experience a lot more of the lows and like the really deep depression episodes than anything else. So it's sort of like, people will say it's like less severe in a way, but it's not. You just don't well, kind of, I suppose it is. I don't know. Yeah. It's you don't reach those like dangerously manic states of mind. But yeah, so I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2 through a private assessment. And then I went back to the NHS, and they decided not to not to stick to the bipolar diagnosis too strictly because they weren't 100% sure, which was mostly around the medication thing because they didn't want to prescribe a medication I didn't need. Anyway, so they then diagnosed me with a borderline personality disorder, also known as recently, what is it now? Emotionally unstable personality disorder. Both names of which are actually ridiculous, but for some reason, emotionally unstable personality disorder just makes me laugh because I just think I actually prefer BPD, and like even though I'm like, oh, I don't really know what borderline personality is, but I prefer it to emotionally unstable because I'm like, aren't we're all a bit emotionally unstable?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
So anyway, I've got this diagnosis. The thing I'd say about both diagnoses, so both of those labels, both those diagnoses are on my health record. So any health professional, anyone that looks at my health record will see that I am diagnosed currently with bipolar type 2 and BPD. Which is actually quite scary because there's a lot of misconceptions, especially about BPD out there. Especially in, well, not especially, but just even in the health care world, in their system, like, it's very, very misunderstood. But what I will say is, like, I try as much as possible not to let, like, the labels be me, like, be who I am. And it's very complicated, especially with the bipolar one, because I sort of parked the bipolar one because I'm currently receiving treatment for BPD, and it is really helping. Got these diagnoses, and then last November I started DBT. So many acronyms. DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy. Yes. So I do 2 hours of group every week, and then an hour of one-to-one, but there's also a lot of like work in between, and it's really intense actually.
Yeah, it does seem like, I don't know, I have like one-to-one counselling, but I think group counselling or group therapy is like another level. I don't
It's
know.
weird one because I imagined it so much differently than what it is.
I've never been in group therapy, and I don't know if other people will have. So can you just kind of explain? Because in my head, I don't know, which is totally wrong. You just go and sit in like a circle and just talk about how you feel. So can you explain how wrong I am?
Yeah. No, but that's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be in like a really cold church hall, and we're all going to sit in a circle.
Plastic chairs.
Plastic chairs, some like horrible cups of coffee or something. Like, I don't know. But no, it's not like that at all. It's at least not the one I go to. Maybe other people that's what they're experiencing. I don't know. But the one I go to, I'll say like the DBT I'm having now is on the NHS, which is amazing. It took them 10 years to pull through, but they finally did. And I'm taking it. Better late than never. So our group therapy, it's a bit like a classroom setup, which sometimes puts me off, but ultimately it's very friendly. It's like just a very welcoming, nice room with like fidget toys and snacks and everything in the middle of the table. Like really nice, bright room, and we all just sit, and we do just sit and chat, but we don't just sit and chat. So we start every group starts with mindfulness. So we start every single group with mindfulness, which honestly has taken me forever to come to terms with, because I was like, mindfulness, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do mindfulness. Don't make me be mindful. But actually, like, you know, it's not what I feel like mindfulness gets bad press as a word. But it's it's definitely like redefined my idea of what mindfulness is. So like we might do something like count the number of blue objects you can see in the room, and then we'll like talk about, and then like that's supposed to help us just notice where we're at that day. Like, are we getting distracted from the task? Are we not? Like, and it's just about noticing where you're at. Anyway, so we start every session with mindfulness. Then we do homework feedback from the last week. So we talk about how we've practiced the skill we learned the week before. It's a skills-based therapy. So you go through all these modules and stuff. It is a bit like a uni course. And then we learn a new skill. We have a break in the middle. There's biscuits. I'm there for the biscuits. But like, it's very, like, I come in with my Costa hot chocolate every week. We all in my group, like we all meet up outside of group, which is really nice. And like do things, go out, we chat about whatever. So yeah, it's really nice. I've never been in a room of people that like get it, like in the same way. And it's such, I actually love group. I actually love it. Which feels so like cringy to say, but it's true. I love it.
But it's incredible to kind of hear such a positive experience. And I think it is kind of like, even me, and I've been around mental health world, I would not have like known what group therapy was like. And I think it sounds like perfect for what you want. And I think the practical element is really positive as well. Like learning new skills and learning to deal with, like learning how to, in the week, experiencing it. But going back to the diagnosis, but I guess it's probably a bit different for you because you had that kind of the dual kind of diagnosis or diagnoses, I believe.
I never know. I just make it up.
Yeah, me too. When you found out first like bipolar and then BPD, what did you know that? Did you kind of have an inkling? Was there relief, or was it more kind of because of the way they're often kind of stereotyped? Was it more anxiety?
Yeah, a bit of both. When I got the bipolar diagnosis, I basically came back from, I'd done some volunteering in Kenya, and then I went to Sahara Desert and did a charity thing. And
as you do.
I've been like, traveling.
You've also walked from Bristol, like London to Bristol, as well as like walking the Sahara as well. So.
Yeah, they're my high moments where I'm like, right, I've got an idea, let's go. So I came back from all those trips, and like everything just, my whole system broke down, and it was sort of a build up of just everything over like 8 years, because I'd gone straight from school, sixth form, into uni, which I started in 2020, and did uni for 3 years, and then went straight to Kenya, and then did all of that, and then I came back, and my whole system just could not cope anymore, and it was really, really bad. It was really bad. Like I'm super lucky to have gotten out of that with the help of amazing people around me, but like part of me still like, I can't, when I actually think about it, I'm like, I can't believe that I made it out of that. It was such a bad time, and so I came back from all these trips and was just in the worst place. Like couldn't imagine life beyond like the next day. So like every day I got through, I was like, oh, okay, I got through another day. Like anyway, I recognized as it was starting to get bad that I wasn't okay, and I reached out to my GP, who referred me to somewhere, so for an assessment. I can't remember now. Somewhere, some like talking therapies assessment thing, and I did that. Oh no, I didn't. No, they said that they didn't have any availability to do an assessment for like 4 months or something, which isn't a surprise to any of us who are you live here and have experienced the health system, like that is what it is. But obviously I was getting worse every single day. So I was very, very lucky to, at the time, be working with some very lovely people who helped me get the help I needed, and just stuck by me, really. Like, I stayed at people's houses. People like scooped me up and really made sure that I like stayed here. And then I ended up, because I was like desperate, I ended up paying for this private assessment, because in my head I knew that like bipolar had always been something I'd researched. So like going back to like the example of being told that I couldn't feel one way one day and then a different way the next day, I'd always been like what if it's something more than what they're looking at? And I'd always been like, maybe bipolar, maybe. And then I just became so distressed. I was like, I need an answer, or I just need someone to listen to me. So I paid for this assessment. But the only thing is, like, I paid for the assessment, but you didn't have much control over, like, you know, who you spoke to, how it was. I did it online with a guy that, like, was probably a lovely person, but, like, there's no, like, relationship forming or anything. Like, it's just like hour assessment online, and they diagnose you or give you a report based on that 1 hour that they spend with you online, knowing like nothing else about you. But I remember getting the bipolar diagnosis, and I was relieved. Like, in that first moment, I was like, oh my God, yes, like, yes, that's me. Oh, actually, I missed a whole crucial part of the story. Oh, God. It's just coming back to me. I haven't thought about it in a while, actually. So before I did that diagnosis, before I did the private thing, I did do an assessment with the NHS. I did like a semi-assessment with the NHS. It was a conversation, basically. And they were like, have you ever considered, at the end of that conversation, they said, have you ever considered that you might have BPD? And I had never heard of BPD at the time. And I was like, what's borderline personality disorder? And then they were explaining it to me. And then I had a complete meltdown on the phone. And I was like, oh my God, no, like, I can't have that. No. And I was in bits. I was like hysterically crying on the other end of the phone to them. And they were like, don't worry, we can give you an assessment. Then they were like, we'll give you the assessment in like 4 months. And I was like, you can't tell me. You can't say, have you ever considered you might have BPD? And they'd be like, right, so we'll pick that up again in 4 months. Like, what? Like,
left on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, no. And that is why I decided to get the private assessment, because I was like, right, I need to know. At the end of that private assessment, when the bipolar thing like came out, I was like, okay, yeah, that's what I always thought. And I went downstairs. I was staying at someone's house at the time, and I was like, guys, that's what I thought. Like, and it was also a bit numbing. Like, I remember feeling really dissociated. Like, the next day, I kind of, even though it was a relief, it was also like, okay, who am I now? Like, what am I? I'd never had like an actual diagnosis of anything, so I didn't really know what to do with myself. I remember meeting a friend the next day, and I was just like, I was like a shell of a person, because I didn't really know what to do. This is I'm talking incredibly badly, but it's so interesting.
No, you're not talking badly.
My DBT skills will say that that's a very judgmental statement, that I shouldn't be doing that. Blah, 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 blah.
I think it is, and I'm listening to you, and I think no, it's so important what you're saying, and I think it's not about the podcast isn't about kind of, you know, we all know that it needs to improve, but the fact that you had to wait after years of being told really that or being told at school that this is not like how you're feeling is not possible, to then be told that, you know, it might be something, but then told that you 4 months to, like, it's really not helpful, is it?
That's like what you just said is exactly it. The like being told for like like almost 10 years that how I'm feeling isn't like right, as if there's a right way to feel, or that it isn't valid. And then suddenly finding out that they're like, I wasn't just making it up. That was why I felt so relieved. And I was like, okay, there's like, I almost felt like getting the diagnosis, I felt less like there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I
But
think because it's not like there's something wrong with you specifically. You're not the only one feeling like this. And yeah, I think it was similar when I got diagnosed with OCD. It's kind of like you can look back now and it explains why you felt the way you felt for the last however many years. And yeah, I can feel the kind of anxiety in that, of you just saying that, being told that, it's impossible how you felt. And when you got diagnosed, did you think back to those times, and was there any kind of resentment and anger towards the people who, said that it was wrong how you felt?
Yeah, there was a lot. And it was like I was having like a flashbacks, like my whole life flashed before my eyes kind of vibe. And I was just like, I just saw everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so annoying. Like these kinds of things could have been picked up or could have been prevented. Or like, thing is with BPD as well, is it's like it's developed basically. So like it's developed through experience and through experiencing things like invalidation and bullying and all that stuff. And my school would just constantly like, bullying isn't the problem and we're not going to listen to you, and like literally like denying every single thing that was impacting me, which has now produced like the challenges that I struggle with now. So I still am like, it's so frustrating because I just know things could have been different. But then going back to like the first thing you asked today, like if it hadn't happened, I'd be a different person. So it's a tricky one.
I think you wish you could just go back, but then on the other hand, it has made us who we are, our experiences. And I'm looking at the time, and I think we're going to have to do a part 2 at some point, because I still have a lot of questions.
I know. Sorry, but I've talked way too much, and we could talk forever. That's the problem.
And it's now we're really talking. We've really talked.
Yeah.
So no, it's been phenomenal. But I want to end on kind of a more positive. Like obviously you shared so much, and I appreciate it more than you can know. And but you talked at the start about the event with the Diana Award and the impact of social action and campaigning on mental health. Can you just talk a bit more about that? What you still campaign a lot now, you're everywhere, and how does that impact your mental health? Can it be a barrier, but also do you see it as one of your strengths?
Yeah, definitely both. Exactly that. Maybe barriers, maybe not a barrier, but like it's challenging, talking about your own experiences, or even just campaigning on topics that are really close to your heart. It's hard because it's so emotional, and you're so connected to it. But I honestly, now that this is what I'm doing, I wouldn't do anything else. I am so passionate, and I am so committed to being in this space and to talking about these things and sharing my experience, so that it doesn't happen to other people, so that we can create a better system, so that like all these things can improve. And yeah, it's hard. Every single time it's hard. I remember doing a BBC News interview. It was a live interview, and I had like no prep for it. And I woke up at like 7 a.m. one day, and I had a DM, and they were like, come on. And I was like, okay. I was so young. I was just like, I said yes to everything. Anyway, I remember doing this interview, and it was on a really, really sensitive topic. And I just did the interview so like without realizing what I was talking about. Like, so for context, like, so it was an interview about guidance for teachers around self-harm in schools. And I was like, yeah, I can talk about that, fine. But something that happens when you do this work a lot, which you can probably agree with to an extent, is that you become a little bit desensitized to your own story. Like you kind of detach yourself from your own story, and it just becomes a story. And then you have to remind yourself that it's actually your story and it actually happened to you. There was something recently where I can't remember what it was, but where I came out of it and was like, wait a second, everything I just shared was actually like, that was real. That happened to me. It's not just a story. So it's hard because you have to, like, looking after yourself whilst you're doing that is difficult, but wouldn't change it. I've learned so much doing it, about myself, about, I don't know, supporting other people, relationships with other people. And I'm super grateful for everyone I've met on the journey, including yourself, Paddy. I feel like our little, I don't know, our relationship in this space has been one of the most special because we've just been through so much together, and watched each other kind of grow in our own ways. And that's been really, really nice. So, yeah.
Yeah, it has. And before we finish off, I got one more question, which I want to kind of ask everybody I speak to. If you could go back 10, 15 years, what one piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, God, I know I'm really overthinking this. So many things. No, I think, do you know what? I would just say, like I just make sure that little me knows that she gets through it. I just be like, you do get through it. You come out the other side. Because if I walk in and I'm 15-year-old me is sitting in front of me and they see 23-year-old me walk and sit down in front of them, they'd be like, what? Like, they would not one part of them would believe that I made it to 23. So I just tell them that they will come out the other side, and there is hope and all those lovely things. And it's going to be hard, but it will be okay. Yeah. I'd also make sure that she knows there is nothing wrong with her. I'd be like, I would just tell her there's nothing wrong with you. That's what I would tell her.
I love that. Do you want to shout out, you've got your own podcast, you're doing some incredible stuff. Shout it out.
I have. I've got my own podcast called Change Unscrambled.
With the best theme tune.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? It's been so long since I've recorded loads of episodes, guys. So go listen to the 2 I've put out, but there'll be more out. I've only released 2.
By the time I release this, there's probably going to be like 57.
Okay. Let's everyone go listen to my podcast because there's so many episodes out. So now that it has to happen, this is good. This is my motivation. Yes, I've got a podcast. You can go and follow it on the Instagram, the Gram.
Have you said its name?
Yeah, Change Unscrambled. Yeah, change Unscrambled.
I love it.
You have to listen to it to find out what it's about. It's not just, that's what you have to do.
It's very good. I think the third episode's really good.
Yeah, the third episode is really good. I agree. Yeah, the third episode is one of my favourites.
Yeah, in the top 3 that you've released so far.
Yeah. Yes, that's a fact. Also, I'll just very quickly say, like, read BPD and stuff, like, be really, like, just as a disclaimer, like, please be careful what you read about it and things. And if you, like, I don't know, have recently had a diagnosis of it or whatever, like, be really careful what you read about it. Always feel free to get in touch. But yeah, there's a lot of dodgy things out there about BPD. So yeah, just know that there's nothing wrong with you, no matter what the internet says ever. And yeah, here available if anyone ever wants to reach out.
Well, I'll link Elsa's socials and Change Unscrambled, and I'll leave some resources in the description. or to all that we've talked about. So thank you so much, Elsa. I feel immensely honoured to have heard you share so much of your story, and I think we'll definitely have to speak again and do a part 2.
Honestly, good. You're going to do amazing with this podcast. Everybody, just watch Paddy. He's soaring at the minute.
Thank you for listening, everybody, and catch you in the next one.
Once again, thank you so much for listening to Now We're Really Talking. If anything in this episode has brought up difficult feelings for you, please reach out for support. You don't have to go through it alone. If you're in the UK, you can contact Samaritans on 116 123, or contact Shout by texting 85258, or visit mind.org.uk for mental health support. If you're listening from outside the UK, you can find international helplines at findahelpline.com. Remember, there's always help out there, and talking about it is a strength, not a weakness.